This is Statistics, Lesson 7, Part 1, and we're going to be looking at weighted means or weighted average. And you might be familiar with this in each of your classes. Assignments, quizzes, unit tests, finals are all weighted differently. So how do you calculate a final percentage? So in a weighted mean, the data points are not of all of equal value. For example, a teacher might assign different weights to different parts of a student's grade. Assignments might be worth 45% of the final grade, a quiz worth 15, an exam worth the remaining 40. In this case, each data point is worth a percentage of the total. So the way I go about explaining this to people is at each weighting is points. So 45 points, 15 points, 40 points. Okay. Just for this example in this paragraph. And your goal or your maximum is to get as many of those 100 points as possible. Okay. So for example, for that 45, that final grade, the 45 points that you could earn, if you got 100%, that means you got 100% of the 45 points available. So you would earn 45 points. If you got 50 on the final, you would have earned 22 and a half points because that's half or 50% of the 45. And then once you get each of your numbers from what you've earned, so take what you get in the 45, 15, and 40 and add them up, that will be your final grade. So I always think of points. So I might do it a little bit differently than they explain in here. So example 2, free to earn grades of 85%, 72%, 65%, and 90% on 4 tests in one term in her math class. If each test were worth the same percentage of her final grade, what would be her final grade? So they're saying all 4 tests are the only thing that make up your grade. So if this is the case, then you can just add all 4 and divide by 4 to get the average because they don't have different weightings. They're all worth 25 points each. So you can simply just add all 4 and divide by 4. However, B, what was her term mark if the first test was worth 10% of her final grade, the second and third were each worth 20, and the fourth was 50? Okay, so if you didn't have weightings, her grade would have came out to 78. Now, the way they calculate is you can do it the way they show 85 times 0.2, 72 times 0.2, 65 times 0.2, and 90 times 0.5. However, the way I think it is better is to reverse the decimals that they have there. So, for example, I'm just going to make a quick little chart here to explain what I'm talking about. So I'm going to have the max amount of points you could earn and then, or sorry, the max amount of points and then what you earned. Okay, so one of them says it's worth 10%. So what that means is there's 10 points available, maximum. Then 20, then 20, because that's the other 20%. And then the 50% is worth 50 points. And at the end of the day, if you got 100% on all of 4 of those, you would have earned 10, 20, 20, and 50 points and got 100% or 100 points. Now, how I would do this is I would go, she got 85% on the first one. So she got 85%. So you always put it as a decimal of the 10 points available, which would mean she earned 8.5. Plus, she got 72 points or 72% of the 20 points available. So she didn't get all 20. She ended up with 14.4. And if you ever want to check that, 14.4 divided by 20 was her score on the test, 72%. Then the next piece, she got 65% of the 20 points available on that test. So she earned 13 out of the 20 possible points. And then point 0.9, she got 90 of the 50 points available. So almost got all 50. So she ended up with 45 points. And then all you do is add these up. And she ends up with 81 points at the end of the year, which means she earned 81 of the possible 100, which is 81%. So you can put it all together like I have written out here, or you can use a table like this. And if you crunch this, it comes out to 81 points, which is 81%. Because there's 100 points up for grabs, and she earned 81. That is the end of Lesson 7, Part 1.